Hello, welcome back to my channel. My name is Thomas Pitilli. I'm a comic book artist and an illustrator. And in this video, we're going to be looking once again at Lucky Luke, this time Wanted Lucky Luke. A couple months ago, maybe a few months ago at this point, I talked about this book right here, The Man Who Shot Lucky Luke. And it did quite well with a lot of you out there. I think it's one of my highest viewed videos. A lot of comments on there. It was a really great video because there was a much extended conversation in the comment section. For one, I learned how to say the artist's name. I'm just gonna go ahead and say it the American way. His name is Matthew Bonham. That's the general consensus from the comment section. Also, another popular comment in that video was that I should probably cosplay as Lucky Luke, maybe in a future comic convention or something like that. But also there was a lot of really great comments from people all over the world who grew up with Lucky Luke and were very familiar with the character. Like I mentioned in that video, Lucky Luke is not a household name in America. And so for me, I'm kind of new to the character, and I discovered the character by way of Matthew Bonham's amazing interpretations of this character. So I guess we're going out of order. The Man Who Shot Lucky Luke is the second in the series. This is the first one, and then just this last April, Dargaud published the third one. I think it might be Matthew Bonham's final one in the trilogy of his Lucky Luke stories. Dargaud is a European comic publisher. They publish a lot of really incredible comic art over in Europe over there. And if you want to read these things in English and know what's going on these pages, Cinebook, the English translation, is the one who publishes these English versions. They were kind enough to send me a copy of this book after they saw my video for The Man Who Shot Lucky Luke. So thanks so much to Cinebook. I'm gonna leave a link in the description of this video where you can order not only the Lucky Luke books that they translate, but they translate a whole slew of really amazing European comics, as well as other Matthew Bonham comics. So it's a really great resource for anyone who loves European comics, but doesn't maybe speak French and wants to read them. So I'll leave a link in the description where you can pick up all this stuff and read it in English. The artwork in this Wanted Lucky Luke is just as incredible as in The Man Who Shot Lucky Luke. And it's very impressive how Matthew was able to create a very distinct world for these stories to exist in. There's a real consistency between these two. I'm really looking forward to reading the third installment as well. But there were some things in this book that jumped out at me that I thought I would talk a little bit about because it's things that I didn't touch on in that original video. One of the things that's really impressive about this book is that it's juggling so many characters. The basic premise of the story is that Lucky Luke is kind of teamed up with these three sisters, and each one of these three sisters, for instance, has their own very specific voice and character design. They don't just blend into one character. Lucky Luke himself is a very distinct character as well. And then there are all of these other secondary and additional characters within the story that it kind of builds to this climactic point at the end of the story where there's so many characters involved in the whole thing. And for one artist and one writer to have created this whole thing is really, really impressive. As far as juggling all these different characters and giving each character a very specific voice, I think a lot of that has to do with the way he's drawing each character, the character designs themselves. I just want to kind of flip through a little bit and show you, just for instance, what the main characters look like. So you have Lucky Luke, who we looked at in that first video. He's got a very distinct style and profile, of course. It's based on the original Lucky Luke character. For any of you who want to be a little bit more familiarized on that, you could watch that other video that I made. But In addition to the Lucky Luke character, like I said, there are these three sisters here. And if you look at like the design of each sister, they all have like very different face shapes, for instance. A really important thing in character design is like silhouette. For instance, if you were to create a character and black them out completely, just looking at their silhouette, like them just completely blacked out, would you be able to recognize their profile? So you think of characters like Bart Simpson or Mickey Mouse or something like that. If you were to see them in complete shadow, you would recognize them. That's because they have like a very strong silhouette or outline for that matter. And I think Lucky Luke has a really strong silhouette and outline, but each one of these three sisters, their faces are different. Just the basic shapes of their faces are different. I think that's one of the things that really like sets each one of them apart. And if you notice too, there's a really strong sense of like cartooning that's happening in these character designs. These aren't like realistically drawn characters. There's, for instance, like, you know, little just dots for eyes and very small little marks for the nose and exaggerated shapes for the faces. Look at her face. I love the way her character is designed with that very, very long face. This is a lot of really, really great cartooning, but even as cartoony as it is, we kind of, because of the storytelling and the way they express things and the shots that he's using, the way he paces the story, and the voices he gives them, really these very cartoony figures are like stand-ins for real people that are created in our heads. But the cartooniness of it really kind of references the original material of Lucky Luke, which was originally just a very kind of hokey, cartoony, slapsticky character. And so he's referencing that in the designs of the characters while using them to tell stories that are a lot more serious and there's a lot more stakes to them. And in a lot of ways, just like the other book that we looked at, The Man Who Shot Lucky Luke, it reads very much like a really classic Western story. And just like that other story, one of the things that I'm impressed with so much is the overall pacing of the story itself. There is, like I mentioned, a lot happening, a lot of characters, a lot of different like little scenes happening. And he paces them in a very smooth way where the story really comes alive in your head. And all of that is being done on layouts, these comic pages. If I just like flip through these pages, these aren't deviating much from a very consistent grid. The story is really happening within a very consistent panel grid, which I think helps immerse the reader in it. Sometimes the design of a page layout could become distracting to the story and kind of take the reader out of it and force the reader to kind of observe the page as a piece of art and design in itself, where keeping a consistent panel grid throughout the story allows you to kind of just get into the rhythm of the panel-to-panel storytelling, therefore immersing the reader much more in the story. And there really is just so much consideration for the environment and the background. He's really putting you in that landscape, that world. It feels like deserty, it feels dry, it feels hot. You could really get that sense just from the lines that he's putting down. I think this stuff is referenced in a way where he's certainly doing his job in terms of like accuracy of the types of wagons, the types of architecture, the clothing, all of that. But he's not like a slave to it. What he's doing is he's taking that and then he's cartoonifying it and making it fit into the story and interpreting it in his own unique artistic way. And just flipping through these pages, you can see where the story is moving, not only from panel to panel, all the different actions that are happening, but you could see just even with the use of the color palette, they're inside, they're outside, it's daytime, it's nighttime. All of this stuff really lends itself to like the vastness of the story, making you feel like not only you're in it, but like you're watching something. You're watching a movie play out. You're watching a play happen in front of you. The characters really do come alive so well And there's just so much to juggle because of all the characters that are featured within this story. It's a real, I think, an excellent feat in visual storytelling in that regard alone. Just look at that panel right there. That's a very impressive panel in terms of just how many people are involved. Every character is recognizable. The ones who were featured throughout the rest of the story, that angle, it's an overhead shot, the coloring to really zoom in right there on Lucky Luke and utilize the palette to create like layers of these people emanating from Lucky Luke over there. That's a really impressive panel. So there's just so much to get out of this book right here, very similar to how much there was to get out of here. If you're into comics at all, if you're into European comics, if you're curious about Matthew Bonham's work, these are two that are really great to start with. Like I said, Cinebook puts these out in English if you speak English and you want to read this stuff. Even if you were able to get your hands on just like the European version and you don't speak French or any of the other languages that this is published in, it's worth just looking at for the art alone. But again, if you want to read it in English, check out Cinebook's versions. I will again leave a link in the description where you could pick these up. I want to thank Cinebooks for sending me not only this, but a whole bunch of other books that will definitely be put to use for some future videos. I'm glad I got to share this one with you. It's been a while since I made that last video, and I've really been wanting to talk once again about Matthew's work. I'm hoping that maybe in a future video, I could have Matthew on the channel and we could have sort of a conversation. And there's just so many things about his process and some of the intricacies of his storytelling and his abilities that I'm so curious about, and I know a lot of you are as well. And in this video, I wanted to try and approach looking at his Lucky Luke comic with a different set of eyes, or from a different perspective than I did in that previous video. That's why I wanted to focus on talking about the character design, page layout, the overall pacing, and the way he's able to juggle so many characters on a page and throughout a whole comic. So let me know in the comments below if you've ever read either one of these. Maybe if you saw my original video on this one, you went and picked it up and you want to check this one out now as well. Of the three that Matthew Bonham has done, what's your favorite? Like I said, I haven't read that third one yet. It just came out in Europe in April, and so I don't think it has been translated yet. I'm sure when it does, Cinebook will be putting out a really great English edition of that. I can't wait to read it. It looks awesome. It looks like it's in the snow. It looks like it's a very different terrain, and really, really excited to check that out one day. And once I do, I will share it with you guys on the channel for sure. If you like this video, go ahead and hit that like button. If you have any other thoughts about Lucky Luke or anything you saw in this video, definitely leave that in the comments below. If you're not subscribed to my channel, consider subscribing to the channel. I have a lot of videos that I'm always putting out, and if you subscribe, I think YouTube will probably send you those videos more often and more on time. So check that out. If you want to go a little bit deeper and see some of the stuff that I work on outside of these videos, as well as getting access to these videos before they become available on YouTube, check out my Patreon. We're having a lot of fun over there on Patreon. It's growing, and the more it grows, the more fun it is, not only for me to make stuff and share stuff on there, but for all the other patrons on the Patreon page as well. There's a lot of cool different features depending on what tier you sign up at. At one of the higher tiers, there's like a art mentorship program that I'm really excited about. I've been really enjoying working one-on-one with people and trying to get your comic art or illustration to the next level. I've been meeting some really great artists out there, and it's just been really fulfilling for me to work with artists who are trusting me to kind of like help them through their process and take them to that next level. So if you want to sign up, check it out. I will leave a link in the description to the Patreon page. If you just want to test it out and sort of try before you buy, there is a 7-day free trial where you can just sign up at the $5 tier on my Patreon page and get everything that that tier gets for free for a week. Once again, a link will be in the description of this video if you want to check that out. Also, I'm doing some portfolio reviews. If you don't want to sign up for the Patreon, but you want to get some feedback from me on your portfolio, I'm doing one-off portfolio reviews that are a lot of fun for me as well, and hopefully helpful for you. So if you want to sign up for a portfolio review, a link for that will be in the description as well. There's a lot of cool stuff in the description of this video. Anyway, thanks so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this look at Wanted Lucky Luke. I hope you dig this one. I'll catch you in the next one. Take care.